do that. Remind me. If you don't remind me, unfortunately, we will not have recording for the class, no? Okay, I think the recording is starting. This is what the message say. So today we are going to see how we can virtualize operating system. So in this machine, the guest operating system is Windows 10. And I cannot format it and install Linux, and we need to work with Linux. So what we are going to do is we are going to install virtual machines. So for that, we need something that is called an hypervisor. There are several hypervisors around. One that is very famous is called VMware Workstation Player. We will use it during the course. And there is another one that is famous, which is called VirtualBox. That's belong to Oracle. So VirtualBox is a free tool. And today we are going to see VirtualBox. So I'm going to create two virtual machines today, two Linux. The flavor of Linux that we are going to use is Debian. So it's a very famous flavor. You have many flavors, but I think it's one of the most stronger version of Linux that we have around. So I'm going to show you how to download VirtualBox, install it, and how to create virtual machine. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open my browser, and I'm going to search for VirtualBox. So VirtualBox, one word. And this is the web page of VirtualBox. And as you can see, you have directly a link to download. I'm just going to click it. And according to your operating system, you will have to download the Windows version or the Mac OS version, or also you can install it in Linux. So this machine is a Windows machine, so I'm going to click here to download the last version of VirtualBox. In this moment, version 6.132 for Windows. So I click here, and as you can see, it is downloading the installer. It's already finished to download. So we have an installer, and we have something that is called the extension pack. The extension pack will give us support for USB 2 and USB 3 in the virtual machine. So since I might use that, I'm going to download also the extension pack. The extension pack is the same for all the version. It doesn't matter if you are using Windows or Mac OS, there is only one installer. So I just download the extension pack, and I have both in my machine. So as you can see, they are here. This is the installer and the extension pack. So I will normally double click on the installer to install it. So this machine already have VirtualBox installed, and I don't have administrative privilege, so I will not be able to install it. But thanks to God, it is already installed. So I'm just going to go with you through the steps that people have to follow to install it. So I did install it in my computer. I'm going to show you some screenshot that I took when I installed it. So the first screenshot that you will see when you install VirtualBox is this screenshot. This is just a welcome screenshot. You don't have other option, but press next. So we will press next. Then it will show you that, this window. So here, keep everything as it is. By default, it will install it in C:\/ program file / Oracle / VirtualBox. It's a product that belongs today to Oracle. If you want to change the path, you can change it by clicking the browse button. Normally, we don't want to do that. We just click next, so there is nothing to do here. Then it will show us this. So do you want to create a start menu entry? So you have it here. Yeah, we want that. Do you want to create a shortcut on the desktop? My desktop is already full, so normally I don't ask that, so I will uncheck that. Do you want to create a shortcut in the quick launch bar? If you want to do it, you say yes. I uncheck that. And register the file associated with VMware. So when you double click to a file, it just start VMware. I keep that. So what I will uncheck is this one and this one in my case, then click next, no? So here I show you that I uncheck them and click it next. So it will give you a warning telling that by installing VMware, your network will be interrupted for a few seconds. So it's just a warning for you to know if you are downloading something in this moment, at the same time, you will interrupt the download. So if there is no thing that you are doing with the network that is important, you just click yes. I do understand that you are going to interrupt my network for a few seconds, but it will come back automatically, no? And here, before you start the installation, it gives you an opportunity to go back and to make any change. If everything is okay, you just click on install. It will show you in the installation process this window telling that, okay, I'm going to install some support from Oracle. Do you agree? So you just say yes, install them. And then at the end, it will show you this screen saying that everything has been installed. And if you click finish, by default, it will start VirtualBox. So I did uncheck it and click finish because we are not done with the installation process. We need to also install the extension pack. The extension pack is optional. So if you don't want support for USB 2 and USB 3 inside the virtual machine, you don't need the extension pack. So I uncheck that and click on finish. So here I show you that I uncheck it and click on finish. So then so VirtualBox is installed. Now I'm going to install the extension pack. So you double click on the file that you download. It will show you this warning saying that be sure you download the extension pack from the website of Oracle, no? You know that we have, unfortunately, a lot of people that try to hack your machine. So be sure, it's just a warning. Since we downloaded from the web page of Oracle, we will just click on install, and it will show us a license agreement. You will have to scroll down for this button to be enabled. So you just use the elevator and scroll down, and the I agree will be enabled. You click on I agree, and then it will give you this last window that says that the extension pack have been installed successfully. So you are ready to use VirtualBox. So in this machine, I already have VirtualBox. I'm going to create a first virtual machine with Debian. So for that, I need the operating system. I need Debian. And we are going to download ISO image from Debian, a very small ISO image that have the minimal package that I need to install a core version of Debian. So for that, I'm going to go to Google again, and I'm going to Google for Debian. So here, that will be the main page, but there is already a link to download Debian here as a CD, as a ISO image of a CD. So I click here and I scroll down. So Debian is available in different architectures. For example, this architecture will be for a Raspberry Pi. This architecture is for a Wintel, one of these machines that have maybe an Intel i5, i3, i7 inside. And this will be for the 64 architecture. All these microprocessors today are 64. So the one that I want is AMD 64. I'm going to click on it and it will start downloading the ISO image. I already did that. It's a small ISO image and I put it here. So this is the image that it downloaded for me. The last version of Debian at this moment is version 11.2.0. So it did download the ISO image of Debian 11.2.0, as you can see. So I'm ready to start using my hypervisor, which is VirtualBox, to create a virtual machine. Then I will clone this virtual machine. So we have two virtual machines, and we will do networking between the two virtual machines. So let me start VirtualBox. It is there. So as you can see, I don't have the last version here. So it went to the website. It realized that there is version 6.132 and I have version 6.130. So it tells me, do you want to update it? I'm okay. I will work with this version. There is no problem that I don't have the last version. There is already a virtual machine here installed. So in yours, you will not have a virtual machine that is already installed. So I'm going to create a new virtual machine. So here you have the button that allows us to create a new virtual machine. So I'm going to click on it, and I will go through a wizard that will guide me in the installation process. So I just click on it, and okay. Before I do that, I want the virtual machine, for example, to be installed in a specific location on my desktop in this directory that I create. On my desktop, I create a directory that is called VM. So the whole path will be /user which user we are, JSU /desktop /VM. No, it will be that. So as you can see, /users /JSU /desktop /VM with a small s to say that we are going to create several VMs inside that. So before I do that, by default, VirtualBox don't put them in this directory. So I'm going to go to File, Reference, and here is the default location to store the virtual machine. So I'm going to change it, and I'm going to say I want it in user JSU desktop, and since I create VMs, I'm going to say I want that. So it will create them inside. So I click OK. So it will create them here. So as you can see, the only thing that we have in this moment is the ISO image. Okay, let's create our first virtual machine. So as you can see, now the path is as I want. It will create a virtual machine here in C:/user /JSU /desktop /VMS. On my first virtual machine, I'm going to call it Debian-A. So Debian A, Debian B, Debian C, okay? So let me do it again. When I click on new here, by default, look at, it proposed me to create a virtual machine that will be a window, a Microsoft window on Windows 7. We have many flavors of Windows, so they are all here. And starting with very old version of Windows, like Windows 95. You might, I'm sure you were not born in 95. We have Windows 98, we have Windows 2000, we have 2003, we have Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. I can see that Windows 11 is not here. Maybe in the new version that you will install, Windows 11 will be here. So I don't want to install a virtual machine of Windows. I have here Linux. So I select Linux, and there are many flavors of Linux. The version that I want is Debian. So I'm going to scroll until I find Debian, and we have two versions of Debian. We have the 32-bit version and the 64-bit version. The one that I downloaded is the 64-bit version, so I'm going to say I will install a 64-bit version of Debian. And I want to call this virtual machine Debian A-A. So let me show you. There is no directory in this moment that is called Debian/A. Let me click on Next. So it will ask me how much memory from the host computer, which means the computer that I have here, how much memory do you want to borrow from the computer for your virtual machine? So this computer, let's see the amount of memory that this computer has. Okay, it has 8 GB. So I can create, for example, a virtual machine with 2 GB on another virtual machine with 2 gigabytes. So the operating system, the Windows 10 that is there, will have 4 gigabytes. On each virtual machine will have 2 gigabytes. So I'm going to say, yeah, 1 gigabyte can be enough, but I'm going to say I want 2048, which is 2 gigabytes, 2048 megabytes, which is 2 gigabytes, okay, for this virtual machine. I'm going to click next, and then he's going to ask me about the hard disk. The hard disk will be one file or a set of files. So we have several options here. We can say that we want to create a virtual machine without hard disk. We can say that we want to create a hard disk now, or we want to, maybe somebody give me some file that represent the hard disk of a virtual machine, and I want to use those files. So I don't have to put the information inside the hard disk. So in this case, we are going to say, okay, I want to create a hard disk. Look, here we already have a Debian A directory that was created. For now, it is empty. So there is no information of the hard disk, of the configuration of the virtual machine. There is nothing. So I'm going to say create a virtual disk now. So click on create, and there are several formats. So you can use virtual box disk image, VDA. Or you can use, for example, the one that use VMware. I like the one that use VMware. I might use it. Okay, let's use it. Which is a VMware disk, VMDK. It's a virtual machine disk, but this is the format of VMware. I'm going to click on next, and it will ask me, how do you want to create it? So do you want to dynamic allocate it, which means that I'm going to create a disk of 40 gigabytes. If I say fixed size, it will reserve the 40 gigabytes from the beginning. If I say dynamically allocated, the file that will represent the hard disk will be very small at the beginning, and as you need more space, the file will increase, and it will be able to go up to 40 gigabytes. I'm going to say that I want a hard disk of 40 gigabytes. So it's better to say dynamically allocate. It's a little slower, but it represents less space on your hard disk. And I'm going to say also to split the hard disk in several files of 2 megabytes, 2 gigabytes. So why it's better to do that? Let's say that you want to make a copy of the virtual machine and you have a pen drive with a small capacity, let's say 8 gigabytes. Since it's not a big file that represents the hard disk, but smaller file of 2 gigabytes, you will be able to copy part of the hard disk in your pen drive, in your thumb drive, copy it where you want and come back. Do that several times, no, because you have a small thumb drive. So it's better to say to split them in a file of 2 gigabytes. Then I'm going to click next, and here it tells me what is the size of the hard disk that I want. Let's put 60 gigabytes. I can put even a value that is bigger than the size of the hard disk of the real machine, because it will not create it of this size. It will allow me to expand the hard disk up to this size. So let's put 60 gigabytes. So I'm going to click on create, and it will create a hard disk. So if you look here now, I say that I want to split the hard disk in several files of 2 gigabytes. So look at, this is the portion of the hard disk, 1, 2, and it's go up to 30. 30 times 2 is 60. But it's got up to 31, it's okay. I say 60 gigabytes. Each of these files will be up to 2 gigabytes. So as you can see, the virtual machine is created the information of the virtual machine is inside this file. This is a text file, you can edit it. But the rest, all the VMDK for virtual machine disk are part of the hard disk. So this folder is a virtual machine, and I can ask what is the size of this folder. And in this moment, even if we have a hard disk of 60 gigabytes, it's just occupy 9 megabytes because the hard disk is empty, and the hard disk is going to increase as I copy information inside the hard disk. There is nothing in the hard disk, so the hard disk is very small in this moment. This is the dynamic allocation. So my virtual machine is ready. So what I need to do now, I need to simulate that I open the CD and I put a CD inside my virtual machine. So to do that, we have here the setting of the virtual machine. Look, we have two virtual machines. You will have one at the beginning. We have the one that I just create. So if I want to change the setting of this virtual machine, I click on this virtual machine and click the setting button here. It will be the setting of the virtual machine that is selected. And for example, here, you have general information that the name of the virtual machine is Debian A. It's a Linux. It's a Debian 64 bits. You have information about the amount of memory that I assign. You can change it if you want. For example, this virtual machine do not have floppy. Let me remove that. Okay, and when this is the boot order. When it will boot, it will go first to the CD. This is what I need because I'm going to put a CD inside this virtual machine. As a second option, the hard disk, but the hard disk is empty in this moment. Okay, if you go to storage, we have a hard disk, which is a 60 gigabyte hard disk, and we have a virtual CD here. So this virtual CD is empty. So I'm going to simulate that I open this virtual CD and I put a CD, which is the one that I just download from Debian. So to do that, I click here on CD. Then here, you click here when you say empty, and you are going to say choose a disk file. So it is on my desktop inside a directory that I call VM, and this is the file that I download from Debian, no? So I'm going to say, okay, put it inside. So in this moment, it's telling you, you have a CD inside the virtual machine, and this CD is the one that is called Debian 1120 AMD64, the one that I download, the net installer, the network installer. So I'm ready. I already have the CD, and I know that the machine, when it will boot, it will look for the CD first. So I'm going to boot the machine. Here there is a start button, and we will have as if we are in front of a new machine. Okay, so let me click on the start button, and it will start the virtual machine. No, here we have that. It's telling me that. Okay, let me just click on start here. So it's booting. It's like I'm in front of a machine and it's booting. So since we have a CD inside, this is the installer of Debian. Oh, I did click inside. Let me show you. When you click inside, it will give you a warning saying that the operating system that you are installing support mouse integration, and that if you have any problem with your mouse, to release the mouse, you have to use the right control. We have two control keys on the keyboard. We have a left one and a right one. So this is reminding here that this key is the right control when we want to release. The mouse can be captured by the virtual machine, and when you want to release it, you will need the right control. Okay, so I'm going to say, do not show this message again and capture. So look, here I am inside the virtual machine, and there are several options to install Debian 11. I'm going to install it with the default option, which is just install. No graphical install, just install. And we are going to follow the process of installing the operating system. So I just hit enter. And the first screen of the installer is to choose the installation language. So we are going to just enter English. By default, it's English. Then he asks me in which country I am. So it shows me all the countries that speak English. No, of course, because I choose English. So I am in the United States. By default, is the United States. So just enter. Then it asks me about my keyboard. So we have several keyboards. This is an American English keyboard. By default, it is there. So I don't have to go to another one. No, I just keep American English keyboard and hit enter. So what he's doing there in this moment from the CD is copying some installer on the hard drive of the virtual machine. So this process will not be very long. Now it's checking for the network. So it's getting through a protocol that is called DHCP on IP address. Now it's configuring IPv6. So it could get an IPv4 address. So it have access to the network already. So the next screen that appears is what is the name that you want for this machine? So the default name is Debian. Let's keep this name, Debian. And then I will show you how to change the name of a machine when it's done. Okay, so I'm just going to hit the tab key that will allow me to move between the options. So if I hit the tab key one time, it came to the continue, as you can see. If I hit another time, it go back. If I hit the tab key another time, it is in the text field where I have Debian. Okay, I'm going to hit it until I arrive to continue and press enter. So that was the name of the machine. Then the domain name. For example, here we are in jsu.edu. So I'm going to put jsu.edu. But if I work, for example, for IBM, I will put ibm.com. Okay, and I'm going to use the tab key again to go to continue and hit enter. I put the name of the machine and the domain. Okay, in a Linux machine, you have an administrator user. This administrator by default is called root, R-O-O-T. So this is the user that have all the right on the machine. For example, to install additional software, to add user. So here he's telling me, can you please give me the password of the root user? In all the virtual machine that I will give you, the password of the root user, I'm going to put toor, T-O-O-R, which is root backward. So here I type T-O-O-R, and that will be the root password. There is an option here to show it. Let me show it. I don't know if you see it, but it's T-O-O-R, no? So I'm going to use the tab until I can go to continue. I am in continue here. So of course, when you type a password, they ask you to confirm the password. So here, the next screen is please confirm the password, T-O-O-R, which is root backward. I use the tab key again. I am on continue, and I press enter. Now, this installer is telling me you need also to create a normal user, at least one normal user, which will not be an administrative user. So I'm going to create a user for myself. So it asks me for the full name of this user. Okay, I'm going to put Eric Games, which is my name. So Eric space Games, and I use the tab key. I am on continue and hit enter. So it's telling me that it took my first name, and that will be the logging of the user. When you log into your account, you have a login, and you have a password, no? So the login is by default, it will be my first name, Eric. Okay, I'm fine with this login. If you are not fine, you just modify it. So I'm just going to hit tab. I am on continue and hit enter. So now it asks me, what will be the password for the user Eric? So in all the virtual machine that I will give you, the password of the user Eric will be internet2. So I'm going to put internet2 here, INTERNET2. Tab, I am on continue, hit enter. And it's going to ask me to confirm the password of Eric. Internet2. I am on continue and hit enter. So we have two users in this virtual machine. An administrative user that is called root and a normal user that is called Eric. So when I need to do administrative task, I need to be the root. And when I work normally in the machine, I should be Eric. You should not connect or enter a computer, a server or a machine as the administrative user. You just switch temporary as an administrative user when you need to do an administrative task. So it's not a good practice. It will be a bad practice if you try to connect as the root user. We should not do that because all the processes that you are going to run are going to run as the root user. And if one of your process, the person that developed the process, let a bug, for example, something that is called buffer overflow, a hacker can hack this process and take advantage of the process. And since you are running the process as root, the person can gain a lot of access on your machine. So you don't want that. If there is a bug in a software, you prefer to run the software as a normal user. So if the person hack your process, you will be as a normal user. It will be able to destroy your information, but not the system, okay? Okay, the time zone. So here we are in the central time zone. So I select central time zone and hit, there is no continue here, as you can see. I just hit enter. So let's see what comes next. Okay, so now we are going to create partition in the hard disk. So in the past, when we didn't have virtual machine, people will create several partitions in the hard disk. And in one partition, they will install, for example, Windows. And in another partition, they will install Linux. And when you start the machine, it will show you a menu, and you will decide if you go with Windows or with Linux. Today, it's not required because we can run both operating systems at the same time. We just have a host operating system, in this case, Windows, and we will have a guest operating system, which is Linux in this case, running in a virtual machine. So I'm going to use the entire disk to install Linux. So remember, my disk is a virtual disk, which is at the end 30 files of 2 GB each. So when I say use the entire disk, I'm not talking the disk of the real machine. I'm talking about the disk, the virtual disk. Okay, so use the entire disk, which is a virtual disk. So it tells me I find one disk. And this disk is 64 GB. Here it says 64, at the beginning I say 60, but here it says 64. Yes, this is the one that I want to use. There is no other option because there is only one disk in the virtual machine. So I'm just going to hit enter here. Okay, so when you create partition, you can create several partitions. Or you can create just one partition and put all your files in one partition. So many people like this option. This will be the home directory of the user. They want the home directory to be in a different partition. So when they make backup of the copy of the user, it is in a different partition. Since we have, it's a virtual machine, we don't have to care. It's okay to say that we want all the file in one partition. So I'm going to stay with this option, even if the second option is maybe better in a real system. Okay, so now it show me the information. So look, it's going to create two partitions. The first partition is this one, is the primary partition. It will have 63 gigabytes. And the format of this partition is extended 4. And it will create a swap partition, which is 1 gigabyte. So when there is not enough memory in RAM, it can store information in the swap partition and keep working as if it have a little more memory. But this memory will not be RAM, it will be information that it will store in the hard disk in the swap partition. So look, by default the option was there. Finish partitioning and write the change to the disk, I'm going to say. So of course, this is a dangerous operation because we are going to lose all the information that is in the disk. So it will ask us to confirm that. So let me hit enter here. And it's asked me, do you really want to make the change? Are you really aware that you are going to write all the information that is in the disk? Yes, I'm going to say yes. This is a new disk. I don't mind the information that is in the disk. I'm going to say yes, write the information, erase everything that is on the disk in this moment. No? So it creates the two partitions and start copying the base system of Linux in the partition, the main partition, which was extended 4. The format was extended 4. So we have several formats when we create partition. So in Windows, you may be very familiar to FAT, extended FAT, NTFS. Those are the ones that Windows will use when you create partition. Linux have come with extended 3 previously used. Today we use extended 4. They were extended 2 previously. So Linux have this own format, but most of the operating system are able to read different format, of partitions. So here is copying and installing the base system, the core operating system. So if I go here now, let me go, you will see that it was 9 gigabytes. Now it's 1.5, it was 9 megabytes at the beginning. Now the whole virtual machine is 1.05 gigabytes. So it's increasing the size. Why? Because we are copying information in the hard disk. We are installing the operating system. And the operating system initially was in the CD that I download from Debian. Okay, now it's telling me, did you download more CD? Do you want me to scan additional CD? I didn't download additional CD because I will use the Debian repository that are in the cloud. I don't need more CD. So I'm going to say, no, I didn't download any additional CD. That was at the time that we didn't have internet. Now that we have internet, everything will come, we will bring everything from the internet. So I'm going to say, no, I don't have additional CD. So it's going to tell me, okay, let's configure a mirror. So a mirror is a site, a Debian site in the cloud, where I can find the installer of the package that I need to install in Debian. So many countries have mirror sites. I'm going to say, okay, I want the one of the USA. This is the option by default here. And in the USA, we have many. For example, this one is Columbia University, this one in Georgia Tech. And there is, by default, there is the one of the company, Debian, no? It's a company that works for the community. They don't charge us anything, as you can see. So I'm going to use the one of Debian.org by default. And if I am behind a firewall and they define, when I use HTTP, they define what is called a HTTP proxy. I will have to specify it here. So HTTP here is not filtered. In Jacksonville State University and in your house, it will not be filtered. So you don't have to put HTTP proxy information. So I'm just going to hit tab to go to continue and continue the installation process. Okay, so now it's go to the cloud and bring the list of software that is available in the mirror that I choose. I choose a mirror in the USA, and it was the mirror of the company Debian.org. So it took the list of files that are available. So Debian want us to tell us what software we use. So if you want your computer to send them from time to time the list of software that you have installed in your Linux server or your Linux desktop, so they make statistic and they know which software is used by the community, frequently used and not frequently used. You can say, yes, I want to participate to the survey. You will not have to type anything. From time to time, your computer will send the list of software that you install to the Debian server. So I don't want to participate to this survey. I'm going to say, no, I don't want to send the list of software. I want to keep it for myself. So that was the default option. And here we have a menu where we can say what we want to install. So for example, I uncheck everything. I always like to do it by myself. So if we want a window environment, a desktop environment, we have several options like GNOME, XFCE. The one that we are going to install is Mate. It's an old version of GNOME, very light. I like Mate, so it's why we are going to install Mate. We can install a web server if we need a web server. We can install a secure shell daemon or secure shell server. I say nothing. Don't install nothing, just install the core operating system. And after, I decide what I want to do. Because everything that you do, like Windows style, where you just click, 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 and you don't know what is happening in the background, you don't know what they do with you. So I like to control my computer, and I don't like a GUI interface to do everything for me, and I don't know what is going on in my computer. So I deselect everything, and I'm just going to hit continue. Don't install anything, just install the core operating system. So here it is installing the core operating system, because I say I don't want you to install everything additional. Okay, there is a bootloader. So the bootloader is the software that at the beginning, when you boot the operating system, will show you a menu on different alternatives for you to select. So when we have several operating systems in a hard disk, the bootloader will show you a list. For example, let's say that you have Windows 7, Windows 10, and Linux. It shows you at the beginning, so you select the operating system that you want to install. Here we will have only Linux, and it's asked me, do you want to install the bootloader? I will say yes. So the option yes is okay. So we have two options to install the bootloader. We do it manually, or we do it in the only hard disk that we have. So I'm going to say install the bootloader in the only hard disk that we have, which is identified by /dev/SDA. If we have two hard disks, the second hard disk will be /dev for device, /SDB. If we have three hard disks, /dev/SDC. Okay, we have one hard disk, so it's just appear /dev/SDA. I'm just going to hit enter here, and it's going to copy the bootloader in this disk, which is /dev/SDA. So here it says it is finished the installation, so we are almost done with the installation. Let's wait a little more. Okay, so now it says you are done, you are ready to reboot your system. So I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to boot the system. So it's go down, make a shutdown of the machine, and came back. This is the bootloader at the beginning, and now Debian is starting. So it will start some daemon, and here we have the console. I didn't install any X window graphic interface. So it's just a console where we can just have text. So I'm going to enter as Eric, and the password is internet2. And here I'm inside the machine. So if you look at the prompt, I don't know if you can see it. It says Eric at Debian. So Eric is the user. At Debian, Debian is the name of the machine. So there are some things that you should do as an administrator when you install a machine, is to install some software that are very useful, like sudo, like ifconfig to get the IP address. So this is a very basic operating system, and it doesn't have ifconfig. So if I type, for example, ifconfig, it will say command not found. So I need to install it. And I need, for example, sudo, which is a command that is very useful, is not there. I need to install it. So what I'm going to do here is first. So since Debian follow the open source philosophy very close, normally when you install a Debian machine, you cannot install software that are paid. There are software that are not open. So I want to authorize this machine to install the software that are not open source also, which are in the repository. So there is a tool that is called apt. And with the tool apt is where we will manage the installation of additional software in our Linux machine. So there is a configuration file to say where are the repository that you want to use when you use the command apt. So we say that we are going to use the repository of debian.org. So I want to edit a file, and to edit a file I need an editor. So when you install the very core version of Linux, there is an editor that is called Nano. So I'm going to use Nano, and I'm going to specify the name of the file. So the name of the file is etc. It is /etc/apt/sources.list. So I'm going to hit enter, and here I am in the editor. So there are three main parts. This part, where I will check for software, this part, and this part. If you look at the other one, is the source file. We will not use the source file. So at the end of this line, what I want to add is non-free. So I can also download the non-free software and contribute. There are software that are contributed by the community. So by default, they are not in our apt source file. So here, I'm going to go at the end of this line, and I'm going to add non-free, and I'm going to add also contrib. And I'm going to do that for this line also, non-free, contrib, which is another place of the repository. And I want to do it also here, non-free contrib. Okay, after doing those change, I need to save the file. So if you look in the lower part here, look at my mouse. Here, there is a Control O, and Control O is to write the file. So when I want to save the file, I have to hit Control O. I'm going to hit Control O, and it's show me, okay, you are going to write the file with this name, which is the same name, which means that I want to replace the file with the new content that I've created. So I just hit enter here. Oh, permission denied. I forgot something. I am user Eric. I cannot modify this file as user Eric. So I have to exit without saving and gain administrative privilege before I can do that. So let me exit. Look at in the left lower corner, there is a Control X. And this Control X is to exit. So let me do it, Control X. So it tells me, you did modification in the file. Do you want to save it? I'm going to say no with N. So it went out. Okay, there is a command that is called ID. ID, show my ID. If you look, it says you are Eric. You are a user that don't have administrative privilege. So I need to switch the user and be root. For that, there is a command that is called SU. SU for switch user, space dash. So I'm telling it, I want to switch. I don't want to be Eric anymore. I want to be the root user. So it will say, okay, you want to be the root user. Tell me the password of the root user to show that I know the password of the root user, so I do have right to do administrative task. So here I'm going to type TOOR, which is the password of the root. So now I'm the root user. If I type ID, it doesn't say Eric anymore. Now it says root, as you can see. So I'm going to edit this file again, nano /etc/apt/sources.list. I'm going to go at the end of this line and put non-free contrib, and here also non-free contrib. Here also in the third line here, non-free contrib. Okay, now I'm going to save the file. So in the lower part, we see that to save the file, we have to hit Control O. I'm going to do Control O, show me the name of the file. The name of the file is okay. I just hit enter. So now it says row 20 line. It could write it because I am the administrative user. And I'm going to exit with Control X. So I did make some change in the file. I need to tell the computer, go to the internet and bring a list, a new list. And that will also include the non-free software and the contributed software. So to do that, I use the command apt-get update. So it's go to the internet and bring a list. But this list include the non-free and the contrib. I don't know if you see them, but they are there. Okay, you will have the recording for you to do that at home. Okay, I need you to do that at home after. Okay, so now I have a list that includes the non-free software and the contributed software. I'm going to install ifconfig. I'm going to install also, for example, the manual, so I don't have to go to the internet when I need help for a command. I'm going to install also sudo. So when you need to install a software, you use the command apt-get install. And if you know the name of the software, just perfect. For example, I need to install, let's say, a software that is called ManDB. I already know that the manual are in ManDB. So look, if I type here, give me the manual of the command ls. It's a command not found because I didn't install the manual. It's a core operating system. So man is not available, so I do apt-get install ManDB, the database of the manual. So look what it's telling me. It's telling me that to install ManDB, I also need to install 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional software, which are in this line here, which are BSD extra utils, grov base, libg dm m6, and another 2.1. Those are called dependency. I cannot install ManDB without this dependency. So it will go to the cloud and bring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 software, 6 package, and install them. So it's asked me, do you agree with the additional software? I will just type yes, why, and hit enter. So look, it did download 6.1. We can see the line at the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 5 additional plus ManDB. Then it, here in this moment, it is installing the 6 software and generating the database for the manual. So we are going to give it a few seconds so it can install the database. Okay, it is done. So now, if I want help on the command ls, I can type man ls, and this is the help. So because we have a lot of commands, we need a manual how to use those commands, what are the options. So you will use the man command a lot. Okay, I went out of the man command. So those files that were downloaded from the cloud, Linux installed them in a directory that is called var apt cache, var cache apt, yeah, var cache apt archives. So look at them. You see them? They were downloaded. So the file that end in .deb, they are 6. They are here. So first it download them, then it install them. So in Windows, the installer are end with MSI or end with exe. In Debian, the installer end with .deb, deb for Debian. They are Debian file. Okay, I don't need this installer anymore. I can remove them because they have already been installed in my machine. So to remove them, there is a command to do it, which is apt-get clean. It will clean all the file that you have downloaded and installed. Now, if I look at this directory, it doesn't have them anymore. As you can see, no? They are the 6 .deb file were removed. Okay, let's say now that I need to install the command ifconfig. Just type it and it's a command not found. It is not there. I want the IP address of this machine and the command is ifconfig. Now I don't know what is the name of the installer of ifconfig. So there is an option which is apt cache search ifconfig. It will show you in the repository all the packages that are related to ifconfig. So it will give you a list. So here is the list. For example, we have genome net tools, inet util tools. Okay, I already know that this command that I need is in net-tools. You see net-tools in the list? It is if you start from the bottom, it's the third line from the bottom. So I want this one. But I kind of doubt if it is this one. I kind of Maybe it's this one. Why don't we check and have more information about this package? So there is a way to have more information, which is apt cache, show me some information. So you use the option show, and you put the package. The package is net tools. So it will show you what is inside. And if you can read at the level of this line, it say here, it include ARP, ifconfig, netstat, RARP, name if, and roots. So this is the one that I need to install. So I'm going to do apt get install net tools. So since there were no dependency, it just download nettools and install nettools. So now the command ifconfig is available. And I can see that my IP address is 10.0.2.15. You know what is an IP address? Okay, so I can see my IP address now because the command was installed. So of course, if I look at the list of software that was downloaded, there is one here, the new one that we just downloaded. I can clean it. If I want to clean it, I use apt get clean. Okay? Okay, so I have my virtual machine and I want to copy it. I want to create a second virtual machine. So when you do a clone of a virtual machine, you need to shut down the machine. And when the machine is down, you can make a clone with VirtualBox. So I'm going to shut down this virtual machine. Do you know what command I can use to shut down a virtual Linux machine? There are many. I can use halt. I can use init 0. I can use shutdown -h for alt now. So I'm going to use init 0. Init space 0. Init space 0 will shut down the machine. So of course, we are in front of the console. You will see that when I start this process, it's going to kill the daemon that are running, the services that are running. Okay, so it's killing the services, and as you see, the machine is off. So the virtual machine is this directory. And as you can see, those files have started increasing in size. Okay, because they are fraction of the hard disk. So for example, the first fraction, look at, it's already 1.141 gigabytes. The second is 0.7 megabyte, is 7 megabytes, sorry. Okay, this one is a little bigger, but all those are fraction of the hard disk. Okay, I want to do a clone. So I go back to VMware and I right click here, and there is an option that is called clone in the context menu. So I'm going to clone it, which means a copy of the virtual machine, an exact copy with the same name, the same software installed. So I'm going to click here on clone. So it's tell me what is the name of the clone. I'm going to call it Debian B. Where do you want to store it? In the same directory as Debian A. And here there is an option that is very important that you choose, is the last option, generate a new MAC address for all network adapter. I'm going to do that and click on next. So it will say, do you want to do a full clone or a linking clone? So a full clone is a clone that is totally independent of the first one, of Debian A. I want a full clone. I don't want to have any link, any string attached between the two virtual machines. So I'm going to say a full clone. I don't want string attached between them. So then I just click on clone. And if we go, it is cloning the virtual machine. If you look now, we have Debian B that is creating, and it's creating a copy of Debian A. So we'll have the two virtual machines. And here in the list, we just saw the clone is done. Now we have Debian A and we have Debian B, two different virtual machines. So we can start all of them, both of them. So look at Debian A, I'm going to start it. And I'm going to take Debian B and to start it also. So we'll have two virtual machines. Remember that each virtual machine uses 4 GB. So this is Debian A, it is starting. And let me start Debian B. So Debian A is already starting the daemon. And I just start Debian B. So we have Debian A here that already finished to start. And here we have Debian B that is going to go through the process of starting the different daemon. So in Debian B, let me enter as Eric, Internet 2. I want a graphical user interface. I want a desktop. So I'm going to install Mate. So when you want to install Mate, as I told you, there are many different. You can install Mate, you can install KDE. I'm going to install Mate. So first, I'm going to switch as a user to have administrative right. SU dash. And I'm going to enter my password as administrator, which is TOOR. Now that I'm an administrator, I'm going to install with apt-get. I'm going to install a packet that is called mate desktop dash environment dash core. So mate dash desktop dash environment dash core. Hit enter. Oh, I forgot apt-get install. So let me put install. So it's a window environment is something big. So it's still you have 542 dependency. Just warming me. Okay, you want to install that? To install that, you need 542 dependency. Do you agree? Yes. So look at, it's downloading the dependency. So in this moment, we are in dependency 300, now 400, now 500. Okay, it's already downloaded all the dependencies. Start installing the dependency on the software that I ask it to install. No, it will take some time to do that. So we're just going to forget virtual machine B and work on virtual machine A. So I go back to virtual machine A. Why this one? Let me put it like that so we see what is going on. And let me enter as Eric here. And the password is Internet 2. So let's say that I want to create a new user. We have a new employee in the company. His name is John Thompson. And my boss called me and say, okay, John is arriving today. Please create an account in the machine for John Thompson. So I need to add a user. So there is a command in Linux that is called add user. So if you want to see the manual before you use the command, you type man add user. And it will come with the manual, the information how you create a user. So I can see that the easier way to use this command is to type add user and the login that I want for this user. So let's say that this person is John Thompson. I want as a login, I want John. Or maybe J. Thompson. Many companies do that. The initial of the first name and the last name. Let's say that in this machine, there are very few users. I'm just going to use the first name. So I'm going to create a user for John. So add user space the login that you want for this user. Enter. Look what happened here. Say I don't find the command. It's not that the command is not there. What happened that I am Eric. As Eric, I cannot create a user. So what should I do here? SU, switch user. So SU dash, what is my password? My password is TOOR. Okay, here it is done. Let me go back to the first virtual machine. I want to show you because, so it has finished the installation of what I asked. There is another one that we need to install. Before I install the other one, I'm going to do apt get clean because it downloads a lot of software and I don't want them in the machine. They will take space and I don't need them because they are already installed. So let me remove all the installer. Now I need to install an additional software that is called Light DM. So I'm going to install Light DM and it has dependencies. So it will tell me, okay, Light DM have 44 dependency. Do you want to go? Yes. Download the dependency, install everything. So I just let it install and I go back to my machine. So I'm going to add user, John. The first thing that it asks me, what will be the password of John? So you, as an administrator, you create a password, and when you see John, you say, your username is this one, your password is this one. Please change your password as soon as you log in. Okay, so if something happened with your account, don't blame me because I don't know your password. I create a password, or you force the user to change the password. You can force the user to change the password when you log in the first time. Okay, so let's put as a password, let's put Jacksonville. Jackson, which is very bad. No, you should not do that. Jacksonville. It asks me to retype it. What is the full name of John? Let me put John Thompson, Thompson, no? Yeah, John Thompson. The room number, we are not going to put that. The work telephone number, we are not going to put that. The home telephone number, we are not going to put that. All the additional information that you want to put, we are not going to put. All the information is correct? Yes. And we created a user. Let me go back to the first virtual machine where we installed. We finished to install the Light DM. So let me clean it. Now this virtual machine have a window manager. I'm going to boot it. So when it's come back, it will come back with the window manager and not with the console that we have in this moment, the console-oriented version. So to boot the operating system, you can use many commands. For example, reboot, R-E-B-O-O-T. You can also use shutdown, -R for reboot, now. You can also use init6. I'm going to use init6. So init0 shut down the machine. init6 boot the machine. It will shut down and put up the machine again. So I'm going to do init6. It will go down. It went down and it's come up again. So as you can see, we have this menu that will stay here a few seconds and the machine is booting. So let's let the machine boot. And as you can see, it's putting up the daemon. And this time we have a graphical user interface. And this graphical user interface will be Mate. It will not, we have a lot of flavor, a lot of different window manager. So I'm going to put Eric, Internet 2, and I am in my Linux, but this time I have this. I can open Windows. I have window. I have a window manager. So there is a last step when you want to use a window manager that you need to install. You need to install what is called the addition. I have the step here. You need to install the guest addition. So to install the guest addition, you have to follow those steps. That is in this file. I will put this file in Canvas. So I'm going to follow those steps. So first, of course, to install the guest addition, I need to be root. In this moment, if I type the command ID, I am Eric. So I need to go and use su dash. Put my password, tour. Now if I type ID, I am the root. So here I can do administrative tasks because I'm the root. So you just switch temporarily when you need to do administrative tasks. So the first thing that they told you is that you need to install some additional software. So let me do it. apt get install build essential dkms Linux header. So here is what we have to do, no? So let me do it. Dash dollar uname dash r parentheses. So here it is, all the command, no? I just copy this command that is here. Let me hit enter. It will tell me, additionally, there are dependency. Do you want to install all? So I'm going to type yes, and it will go bring all this package from the Debian repository and install them here. So what happened that in this moment, you cannot resize the window. If I try to resize the window, look what happened. It doesn't work. So the guest addition will allow me to resize the window and will allow me to transfer file from the guest operating system to the host operating system and to use edit copy, edit pass between the two machines, the host machine, which is the Windows 10, and the virtual machine, which is the Debian. So it's why I want to install the guest addition. So the first step has been done. So the second step is, they say, go to the menu device in the virtual machine and select insert guest addition CD. So before I do it, let me go to here in setting. Look at the level of the storage, there is nothing. The CD is empty. So they say go to device and click this option. Insert guest addition CD. Put a CD inside the virtual CD. I did it. Now, if I go back to machine, setting, storage, look, it is not empty. It have the guest addition CD. It's a ISO file. Okay, so now I need to mount this ISO file that is in the CD into some place in my machine. For example, I'm going to mount it. There is a directory that is called media CD-ROM. I'm going to mount it here in media CD-ROM. So the command is mount /dev CD-ROM in media CD-ROM. Okay, it has been mounted. So now if you look at inside media CD-ROM, you have the information. You have the information that is in this virtual disk. And you need a last command, which is this one. You need to run an installer that is in media CD-ROM. So I'm going to change the directory and go to media CD-ROM. And here I'm going to execute vbox linux addition -- no x11. Okay, so it's going to install, it's going to compile and install the guest addition. It might take 2 or 3 minutes. So while it's doing that, I'm returning to the first virtual machine. Okay, so we create a new user. So look, if I look at the home directory is where we have the information of the user, the home directory of the user. So we have 2 users, one that is called Eric, one that is called John. And I can, for example, let me exit. Let me exit again. Here, now I can connect like John. John, and the password is Jacksonville. Jacksonville. And if I type ID, I am John. Let me exit. I can connect as Eric, and the password is internet2. And if I use the command ID, I am Eric. Now, let's say that I am Eric. Okay, the guest addition have been installed. I'm going to reboot this virtual machine. So init 6 is away. Let me use reboot. Before I do that, let me do apt get clean because we install things. Let me do sync, and init. Instead of init, we are going to do reboot. Reboot will shut down and reboot the machine. So let's go down, killing the daemon. Let's go up, and it will start the daemon, and then start the graphical user interface. So the graphical user interface is back. So here, let me enter as Eric, internet2. Oh, I forgot to do something. Okay, what I wanted to show you that now you can change the size of the window and it's accommodate. You see? Previously, I was not able to do that. Now you can change it. You want your virtual machine to be big or small, you can change it. You see? Previously, we had the guest addition, you were not able to do that. So I forgot to do something. Let me shut down this virtual machine. So if you want to shut down, you go to System, Shut Down. This is the graphical part. Otherwise, another way is you open a console, you switch, it's a little bigger, so let me do Control S, Control plus, okay, like that it's enough. I'm going to switch as root, and I can type, for example, shut down, Alt now. This is a way to shut down the machine. I want to shut down the machine. So I can use init 0, I can use Alt, or I can use this command. So I use this command, it will power off the virtual machine. And I need to go back to the virtual machine and enable, we are in machine B. So I'm going to go there in setting, and I think it's here in advanced. You want to enable the shared clipboard. So by default, it's disabled. I'm going to say bidirectional. So I can copy something from the virtual machine and paste it in the host operating system, which is the window, and vice versa. On drag and drop file, I'm going to allow them, which means that you can have a file in the window, you want it in the Debian, you just drag it inside, and it will be there. Or you have a file in the window virtual machine, you want it in the window, you just drag it with the mouse. So I have enabled both of them. That's it. Once you enable it, it will work from now on. So let me start the virtual machine again. So here is the virtual machine that is booting. And I'm going to show you that you can edit, copy, edit, paste in both ways. You can also drag and drop files from one side to the other side. For example, let's say that you see this file. Let me enter in the virtual machine that have the internet2. So here, let me open also a terminal. It's too big, so Alt negative, no, Control negative, make it smaller. Okay. So let's say that in my window machine, in my pen drive, where is my pen drive? Here. In course in this course, I have this file, the Word file that the Word file where it is. Oh, install VirtualBox. This file is in the Windows machine, in the pen drive. I want it in the Linux machine, so I can just drag it. You see, I take it, I drag it, and I lose the mouse, and it is there. So I move it from Windows, it is still in Windows, it's a copy. But you can move it from the host operating system to the guest operating system. Now, let me create a file in the virtual machine. Who I am here? I am Eric, no? Let me go to my desktop and create a file. It will appear here. So let's create, for example, with Nano, let's create a file that is called file.txt. Hello from Debian. Let me save it with Control O. Appear here because I just saved it on the desktop. Let me exit. So let's say that you have done a program and you want this program in your Windows machine. So you can just drag it outside the virtual machine and it is there. So if I double click it, now it is in Windows and it has the content hello from Debian. Okay, so you can drag and pass, drag and drop file from the virtual machine to the host machine and from the host machine to the virtual machine. Let's say that, for example, in the internet here, I want to copy this and have this information in the virtual machine. I can copy it in the clipboard of Windows. And here, for example, I can just do edit, paste. And here is the text. So you can edit, copy something in the host operating system and paste it in the virtual machine. I can do the reverse also. For example, man ls. Let's say that, oh, I want to say I use the option -A, sorry. I want this. So I copy it and I go to Window. Let me in Window, for example, open Notepad, and I can just paste it. So this is the guest addition. The guest addition allows you to resize the window as you want. You see? It's resize the window. If you don't install the guest addition, you cannot resize the window like that. It allows you to drag and drop files from one side to the other side. And it allows you to use the clipboard between the two machines. But look, here we have a Linux machine. It's a virtual machine. And at the same time, I work with Windows and Linux. So this software is very nice because it allows that. So what I want you to do before next class, because we don't have time to do practice here most of the time. Otherwise, we will show very little content if we start to do practice here. I want you to do exactly the same thing. So you go to the recording, you download the recording if you want, or you just play it from Canvas, and you do exactly the same thing. You install in your computer VirtualBox. You install also the additional, the pack, no? The extension pack. You download the ISO image or Debian, and you create a virtual machine, or you create several virtual machines. You can copy them. By the way, I wanted to do a ping between the two machines. So let's see, for example, the IP address of this machine. Better, since we have, let's see the IP address of this machine. So let me go as an administrator to see the IP address, TOOR, ifconfig. This is, oh, it will not work. It will not work. Give me 5 seconds and I show you why it will not work. They will have the same IP address. Look at the IP address, 10.0.2.15. If I ask what is my IP address here, let me go as the root user and I type ifconfig, it will be the same IP address, 10.02.15. What happened that by default, if you don't change them, VirtualBox create a virtual network between the virtual machine and the guest machine. And it's allow only the communication between the virtual machine and the guest machine. If you want communication between the two guest machines, you need to change the default configuration. So let me do it. I'm going to shut down both virtual machines with init 0. Here also init 0, or let me use another, alt. We shut down the virtual machine, both. Then, this one is still starting alt. Okay, maybe alt was not a good idea. Alt does not power it off. So I have to power it manually. Okay, let me power it manually, power the machine, power off the machine. Okay, so here, I'm going to go to setting, and before I do that, sorry, I need to create a NAT interface. So you go here in File Preference, Network, and you are going to add a NAT network by clicking here, Add New NAT. So it creates one and it's called NAT network. If you want to change the name, you can change it, but this name is okay for me. And I'm going to say that the two virtual machines that are here, I want to put them in this network. So I take the first virtual machine, setting, network, and it is in NAT. I'm going to put NAT network, and it's a NAT network. Okay. I take the second virtual machine, setting, network, it is in NAT. I'm going to put NAT network. There is only one, the one that I just created, which is called NAT network. Now they are in the same network. So I can start them. Let me start the first virtual machine, the A, which is console oriented. Let me start, it is there. Let me start the B, which is graphic oriented. They both are coming up. And now we will be able to ping to each other. So this one have boot. Let me enter as Eric. Internet2 is the password. And let me switch the user to the root user, TOR, ifconfig. Look at my IP address, it's 10.02.15 in machine A. Here, Eric, Internet2. Okay, let me start a terminal. Root. I should have typed tour here, TOOR. So TOOR. Let me see my IP address. ifconfig. Now we will have two different IP addresses. Look at my IP address is 10.0.24. On the IP address of the virtual machine, we can see it here in this line that is there, 10.0.2.15. There is a tool that is called ping. I can ping 10.0.2.15, which is the other virtual machine. And the ping is working, as you can see. Okay? If the ping doesn't work, it doesn't give you a round trip time. This is the time for a packet to go from the first virtual machine to the second virtual machine and come back. This is called the round trip time. So the ping did work. So I'm able to connect from the two virtual machines through the network.